Hi, Isabella. My name is Alyssa Threadgill, and I am a writer for The Nocturnal. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, Alyssa. Oh my God, your hair, your outfit, so adorable. Very Asa coded.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's what I was going for. Thank you. I feel like we both grew up seeing kind of like that era in film where everything was kind of based off of a book. So I was curious to know, what was your relationship with the novel prior to signing onto this role? And what did you love about the story?
Well, I was very well read on the John Green novels, but this one I had not read. I was surprised that I hadn't even heard about it, which is just absurd because I remember John Green's books have such an impact on everyone who reads them that it's just those books that you remember exactly where you were when you read it and how you felt. And the only other books that really did that for me were like the Hunger Games books. I really loved those growing up. But yeah, and it's interesting. I really struggled with whether or not I should read the book because I had already read the script. I had already felt like a connection to Asa and I already thought I knew what to do. And the thing about books is they're so detailed that I was worried that it would inform me a little too much. And turns out it wasn't the case because the script is so loyal to the book and it adds more. So I feel like the material is very respectful. And I think for that reason, the book fans will really love this movie.
Yeah, I think so too, because I read the book back in high school and I was like, wait, this is a pretty good like compliment to the book. So I think people will be really happy about it. Yeah. And I think you really nailed all of Asa's quirks and sensitivities. And I felt like it was a really honest portrayal. What kind of preparation did you go through understanding all of those conditions and how like real people go through things like that? What was that like for you?
Knowing John Green was my cheat sheet, I think. Him being, the sort of, he's so honest and raw in this book and the script. You could tell that like it was him, basically, that he was writing about himself and his own struggles. And obviously OCD and anxiety look different for everyone and they feel different for everyone. You're not going to have the same like compulsions and you're not going to have the same sort of tendencies. But because it's honest for him, it will feel honest to everyone who experiences it. And as somebody who suffers from anxiety, not OCD, I still related heavily to Asa. And I think it speaks to everyone. And even if you don't have any sort of struggles with mental illness, for people like my mom who claims she never has, she still learned from it because she learned about my struggle. And after she saw the movie, she looked at me, she was like crying still. And she was like, I get it now. Like, I understand it. And that meant the world to me because all I've done my whole life is try to explain it. These things sometimes cannot be explained through words. Sometimes they have to be shown. And I think this movie does a great job at it, in my personal opinion.
Well, that's lovely. And I had a very similar experience as someone who also has anxiety. And, watching this movie, there's so much to resonate with. And you were so wonderful. And I really appreciate your time today, Isabella.
Thank you, Alyssa. I really appreciate your energy and your questions. It was great.
How are you both today?
Hi, good. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Cree, I really loved your character a lot because I think she's so real in the way that I feel like we all needed to see in this movie. So I really love how she's so supportive of Asa, but at the same time, she's taking on a lot being friends with someone who has so much going on, for lack of a better phrase. So how did you approach your character and portraying this kind of dilemma, the challenges of being so close to someone with so much anxiety?
First of all, thank you so much for saying those kind words. I really appreciate it. I mean, exactly what you're talking about was a huge focus and priority for me taking on this role. It was one of the things that scared me most about it, but that I knew was really probably the most important aspect of Daisy as a character and her, function in the story. Is this part of her that sort of steps away from the very comfortable classic sort of like beloved energy of being the funny best friend, the supportive best friend, and slipping into this, more uncomfortable part of the conversation, which is, if you split off from Asa's POV and go in any of our directions, we have our own story, our own whole thing going on where Asa's function in our story might not be as loving and supportive as we are in hers, which is a really uncomfortable thing to say. I think we were both very loyal to the book. We really read the book. I mean, that was immediately felt like a really important part of the research. We have a beautiful script. I mean, I had a lot of conversations with Hannah Marks about that particular, like the breakup car scene, that moment, actually. But I think the foundation is so laid out in what John set up for them and for that dynamic that all I had to do, hopefully, was, let those feelings come up on the day and just be brave enough to have a character that is otherwise somewhat digestible get slightly unattractive for a minute, which can be not appealing as an actor, but sometimes you gotta touch the stove.
So beautifully said.
No, I think you did such a great job. And Felix, I think you are so natural at playing romantic leads. I'm a big Ginny and Georgia fan, so it was so cool seeing you in this role. And, I just love how much Davis gravitated toward Aza. And I really would love to know what intrigued you about your character and how much Davis wants to be there for Aza is such genuine love. And it was so great to see.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. I really love that Davis and Aza are kind of the two sides of the same coin. As different as they are, they both really kind of wanting the same thing. Aza wants to be seen for more than her mental health struggles. She wants to be seen for the woman she is, for her insight, for her creativity, for her knowledge, all of these things, who she is as a person. And similarly, Davis is incredibly lonely. He's very isolated. He doesn't really have any friends. He doesn't have any parents. He is surrounded by wealth. He has everything he could ever want and nothing at the same time. Mm-hmm. And all he wants is a connection. He wants to know if people are being around him, people want to know him for more than his money, rather than, for anything else, that he just wants to be known for who he is. So when you have those two things coming together, it's these two people who feel like they're the only other people who see each other in the world, which is such a strong connection and such a strong impulse to play. This is the only person who is going to make me feel like a person. And so to turn around and have the Aza's OCD kind of get in the middle of that, and to have Davis have to have those uncomfortable conversations about setting boundaries, and both of them kind of having to face the reality of despite how badly they want this, it might not necessarily be best for them, mm-hmm. for both of them. That's just, it's such a fun impulse to kind of wrestle with.
Yes, absolutely. And I just, every time I watch this movie, I was just thinking the casting is so well done. And I loved seeing both of you in this movie. And I really, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.